Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Bhagavatam chapter 19 verse 26. Srimad Bhagavatam Devayani Srimad Bhagavatam Devayani Mene Prasto Mahana Mene Prasto Mahana Sri Pumsa Sneha Vaiklavya Sri Pumsa Sneha Vaiklavya Harihasam Iveritam Harihasam Iveritam Srimad Bhagavatam Devayani Srimad Bhagavatam Devayani Mene Prasto Mahana Mene Prasto Mahana Sri Pumsa Sneha Vaiklavya Harihasam Iveritam Shutvagatam Devayani Shutvagatam Devayani Mene Prastovamatmana Mene Prastovamatmana Sri Pumsa Sneha Vaiklavya Harihasam Iveritam Shutvagatam Devayani Shutvagatam Devayani Mene Prastovamatmana Sri Pumsa Sneha Vaiklavya Harihasam Iveritam Shutva, hearing, narration, Devayani, Queen Devayani, understood, when instructed for her self-realization. Sri Pumso, between husband and wife. The Sneha Vaiklavya, an exchange of love and affection. Harihasam, funny joke. Eva, like. Viviktam, spoken. Translation: when Devayani heard Maharaja Yati's story of ego, she understood that his story, which was presented as a funny joke or entertaining between husband and wife, was intended to awaken her to her constitutional position. Purport: when one actually awakens from material life and understands his real position as eternal servant of Krishna, this is called liberation. Mukti Epanyatavu Svarupena Vivasakati. Under the influence of Maya, everyone living in this material world thinks that he is the master of everything. One thinks that there is no God or controller and that one is independent and can do anything. This is the material condition. And when one awakens from this ignorance, he is called liberated. Maharaja Yati had delivered Devayani from the well. Finally, as beautiful cosmic instructed her with the story about ego and she-go, and thus delivered her from the misconception of material happiness. Devayani was quite competent to understand her liberated husband, and therefore she decided to follow him as his faithful wife. Thereafter, Devayani, the daughter of Sukracharya, understood that the materialistic association of husband, friends, and relatives is like the association in a hotel full of tourists. The relationships of society, friendship, and love are created by the Maya of the Supreme Personality of God exactly as in a dream. By the grace of Krishna, Devayani gave up her imaginary position in the material world. By fixing her mind upon Krishna, she achieved liberation from the gross and subtle bodies. Purport: one should be convinced that these spirit soul are impartial love, Supreme Brahma Krishna, but has somehow or other been trapped by the material coverings of the gross and subtle bodies consisting of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. One should know that the association of society, friendship, love, nationalism, religion, and so on are nothing but creations of Maya. One's only business is to become Krishna conscious and render service unto Krishna as extensively as possible for a living being. And this way one is liberated from material bondage. By the grace of Krishna, Devayani attained this state through the instructions of her husband. O Lord Vasudeva, O Supreme Personality of God, you are the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation. mentioned as a super soul in everyone's heart, and smaller than the smallest. He or greater than the greatest, and all are all pervading. You appear completely silent, having nothing to do, but this is due to your all-pervading nature and your fullness and opulences, and therefore offer for my respectful obeisances unto you. Wherefore, how Devyani became self-realized by the grace of her great husband, Maharaja, is described here. Describing such realization is another way to perform the bhakti process. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, perpetuating and pastimes of Lord Krishna, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything to him. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. Sadhana Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, are especially important. By hearing from her husband about the greatness of Lord Vasudeva, Devayani certainly became convinced and surrendered herself unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, this is knowledge. Bhagavatam Jamanamante Gyanamamapatite. Surrender to Vasudeva is the result of hearing about it for many, many births. As soon as one surrenders unto Vasudeva, one is liberated immediately. Because of her association with her great husband Maharaja Yati, Devyani became purified. Adopted the means of bhakti, and thus became liberated. Thus in the Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada Canto 19th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, Yati achieves liberation. So these verses conclude the story of King Yati. And we see that not only Yati was delivered, but his wife also was delivered. She heard this story, and then she understood the insignificance of material life. And therefore she got some knowledge, and she was able to reject material attachments, etc., and worship the Supreme Lord. And therefore, not only Yati succeeded, but his wife also got spiritual success. So the story here is told to illustrate the power of material attachment to bewilder us, and at the same time, the power of bhakti to deliver us. So we see that Yati was bewildered for 1,000 years, but then suddenly realized his mistake, and he surrendered to the Lord and worshipped the Lord, and he became free. And similarly, we see Devyani also, by the instructions of her husband in the story, attained knowledge, and then she began to worship the Supreme Lord also, and was delivered from the material world. So the position for many people in the material world is one of suffering. And if they are suffering, they may approach the Supreme Lord and surrender. This is one type of person, but that requires some faith. Then we have other people who are not exactly suffering, but they want more material enjoyment. And they may also approach the Supreme Lord and surrender. But again, they must have some prior faith. So therefore, Prabhupada mentions here in the purport that after many, many births, then one develops this acceptance of the Supreme Lord and accepts that knowledge. So usually it is not a sudden affair. You have to progress over many births, and gradually our consciousness begins to change and become a little favorable. So when it becomes favorable enough, that is called faith. So here we assume that, of course, because of Yati's exalted position, that he was, of course, in previous lives, had performed some bhakti also, and therefore it was not unlikely that he could suddenly get a realization of bhakti in this lifetime and give up his material attachments. However, in most cases, just to get to the position of beginning bhakti, we have to develop that faith. And that is a much longer process. If we've already developed bhakti, then somehow or other in this lifetime we will develop again from previous lifetime. If we haven't developed bhakti, then it's a very long process of developing to the point where we get faith, or the initial interest in the Supreme Lord. So this is the main problem of our existence in the material world. The devotees are there to give out mercy, but they give out all the mercy, but we don't see that it immediately sprouts. We tell everybody to chant, not everybody chants. So we cannot plant the seed of bhakti unless there is faith, and all people don't have faith. And that takes a long time, many births in many cases. However, we should not think that the devotees' endeavors are in vain, because every exposure that a person gets to chanting or the process of bhakti is beneficial, and eventually it leads to faith. But it is slow because there is no desire on the part of the person to receive any knowledge or receive anything. So therefore, it is more or less by chance that one gets the opportunity to be exposed to bhakti. So when they get one chance in a lifetime, or 2 chances, or 5 chances, or whatever, or no chances, depending on if there's devotees available or devotees close by. So this way it becomes a very haphazard process of development to develop to the point of getting faith. In that sense, it is long. However, due to the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his great eagerness to give even the most unqualified people the highest type of bhakti, he has made the process quicker. So as we know, with great eagerness, he wants to give out the process of bhakti, even to the aparati, etc. Now, of course, we can say aparati, he doesn't have any faith, so how can he get bhakti? So what this means is that the process of developing that faith becomes much quicker by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even though a person does not have any faith developed and no exposure to bhakti in this lifetime, by exposure in this lifetime, very quickly he can develop faith and then start the process of bhakti. Why? Simply because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the mercy of the Holy Name. So these two factors, very desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver everybody, and the presence of the Holy Name as instituted by Lord Chaitanya. So these things speed up that process of getting faith also. So this also, of course, is a factor in making Nam Sankirtan Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the Yuga Dharma. So Yuga Dharma means that it is the spiritual process for the general population. Most people should follow this process to develop spiritually. So most people, therefore, means that the general population should take to the process of Nam Sankirtan. And how is it possible? They have to develop faith. And the faith will develop more quickly than normally because of the Nam Sankirtan and the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this makes it a quicker process. So therefore it becomes more quicker process, easier process to develop that faith and therefore develop bhakti. However, it does require the input of the devotees. If we don't have devotees, then there's no way that the Harinam and the mercy can spread. So therefore the devotees are a very essential aspect of devotional service. The Supreme Lord is there, and the scriptures tell us that it's very good to worship the Supreme Lord, but even better to worship his devotees. And the Lord is pleased with that. So in other words, the Lord is pleased if we worship the Lord, but he's more pleased if we worship the devotees. Of course, if we worship the devotees, not the Lord, that is rather incongruent or contradictory, so we worship both. But in any case, the Lord is very, very pleased with the worship of the devotees, and therefore the devotee has a very exalted status. And one reason for that is that the devotee is the instrument for spreading bhakti in the material world. As I said, without the devotees, you can't spread the holy name, and the new dharma. And therefore, the devotees are an essential aspect of spreading devotional service. And that, of course, is the Lord's intention, to deliver all the fallen souls. So the devotees, therefore, are very dear to the Lord in all cases. So they may not be so highly qualified. But still, if they have some sincerity and faith, then they can also distribute that mercy of the Lord. As we know, the Madhyavadikaris are the main preachers. So they're not completely pure. They do have an artist. Nevertheless, they endeavor to act on behalf of the Lord, and the Lord very willingly gives them the power to carry out the preaching movement. So this is the method for delivering the people in Kali Yuga through the devotees. Devotees are a very essential part of bhakti, and it is very important that this cultivation of devotees and the activities of devotees to spread the practice of chanting goes on in the material world. And in this way we please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada had a very great vision, so therefore he made an institution which was dedicated to preaching more than anything else. Of course, we do many things. We study, we have scriptures. Basically, the idea is preaching. So the scriptures are for preaching, temples are for preaching, everything is for preaching. So the society is a shelter for the devotees, so they can develop and they can carry out these activities of preaching to other people. So in this way we hope to spread the Nam Sankirtan movement everywhere. In this way, the problem that we see here with Yayati and Devayani will be somehow diluted by material energy for a long, long time, 1,000 years. Hopefully that will not take place for the devotees because they begin the process of bhakti early in their life, and they continue it throughout their life. They don't take it up at a later stage, as we see Yayati doing here, even though he had some background previously. If we don't take to the process of bhakti, then at best we can hope to be put in such a situation where we get bewildered by enjoyment in the material world for a long time, and hopefully after that long time we get some enlightenment, but probably we won't. Best that we, as early as possible, take advantage of the mercy of devotees and advance the devotional service. In this way we can get our success. Yayati, in this story we see when he got his realization, then very, very quickly he took to the process and got his success. And similarly his wife very quickly understood. And therefore at the end of this chapter we have a nice verse here, prayer to the Supreme Lord, in which she surrenders completely to Vasudeva and admits the supreme position of the Lord and our position of serving Him. So the devotees can become inspired by this story to not just act after 1,000 years, but act immediately and take up the process of bhakti.
Yes, you mentioned that.
You mentioned that this worshipping the devotees is better than the worshipping the Supreme Lord. Worshipping devotees, even Krishna's devotees.
Yeah.
There is some followers, those who has taken worshipping the Guru is the main. Means they even that disregard of worshiping the Supreme Lord. They keep Gurus for important and they just concentrating on the Guru.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
But as I said, we cannot exclude the Supreme Lord from the worship. So worshipping devotee is better, but we can't say that because of that, therefore we'll only worship devotee and not the Supreme Lord. That becomes an offense to the Lord. And the order of Guru is to worship the Lord. So if we don't follow that order, we're not really worshiping the Guru. Or if the Guru doesn't say to worship the Lord, it's not a Guru. So therefore we're worshiping a false Guru. So therefore that also becomes useless. So definitely, yes, the devotees are all worshipable. Therefore, we have Krishna, and then we have Radha, who's the greatest devotee. We have all hierarchy devotees, etc. And Radha is worshipable, Lakshmi is worshipable, consort of the Lord is worshipable. And all the devotees are worshipable. And among the devotees, of course, then the Guru gets special worship. Maybe Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, or both. They get special worship. And the whole purpose of this is to get the proper respect for bhakti itself, because the whole idea of the devotee is that he is the medium by which the bhakti shakti of the Lord is communicated to the material world. Without the devotee, it doesn't take place. So therefore, if we have to give respect to the devotees because they are the ones that have this shakti. And of course, then we choose Guru as a special person who gives out more of the Shakti, who therefore we get more respect. But we don't dissociate that from the Supreme Lord because the very function of Guru is Bhakti, and Bhakti is part of the Supreme Lord. So we can't say, okay, well, worship Guru but not the Supreme Lord. That becomes an offense. It becomes meaningless because the whole purpose of the Guru is to get you to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So we have to do both simultaneously.
The next verse, 22nd verse, there is a mention of Krishna's name that you are surrendering to Krishna. But Krishna is coming later point.
Well, of course, it says Vasudeva here. So Vasudeva can mean not just Krishna, Vishnu as well. He's one of the,
In the verse, Krishna is there. In the verse,
next verse, 27.
No.
Krishna is Savana Sankirtan. Yeah. Krishna Manaha Samavesha.
Okay. Krishna Manaha Samavesha. Okay.
Yeah. Krishna is coming here.
Yeah.
So he got some idea about the Krishna. Then.
Possible. Yeah. I don't think they comment on that in the. Of course, this is by the grace of Krishna. Divine gave up her imaginary position in the material world and she fixed her mind on Krishna.
Means absorbed completely in Krishna.
Yeah. So maybe they had some realization. Of course, we don't know what was this. Yati was in. It was in Vaibhasvatamanu. Vaibhasvatamanu already, but before Krishna.
Yeah, before this, that's what I'm saying.
So possibly they got some revelation ahead of the appearance of Krishna. Of course, the other one, the possibility is that Krishna is referring to Vishnu. Another name for Vishnu also. I think in the story of Prahlad also Krishna is mentioned a few times.
He mentioned again the Vasudeva.
I think Krishna is mentioned once or twice.
First is mentioned.
Maharaj, we offer yoga to photos and also the deities which are not installed. So
Yeah.
we offer boga to photos, Krishna's photo, and also the deity which is not installed. So we say still that is also being purified by Krishna and it is prasadam. So we do the same for the installed deities also, Pranapadishna deities also. So what is the significance of Pranapadishna?
Now, if we do the Pranapradishna and install the deities, then we're following the actual Pancharatra process. So we're following the scriptural injunctions for worship. And in that sense, it's more authorized. If we worship deities without installation, that is non-Pancharatra, we cannot say that the Lord doesn't accept, because even mentally the Lord can accept things, etc. But it is more of a, it's not so scriptural. That's all. Now, even if we install Pancharatrically, if we do so without devotion, then it's not really, the Lord's not there also. So, in any case, for us, the devotion is the main aspect. But we follow the Pancharatra process to follow the Vidya scriptures. So. A picture can also be a deity, by the way.
Yeah.
So we can, I suppose you could install a picture here.
Maharaj, when the ISKCON movement started, there were so many devotees who were preaching so intensely and actually made some wonderful devotees in the movement. But at a later stage, they themselves might have actually drifted away from the practice. So what happens to them in terms of their devotional service? Does the Lord show them some very special mercy to bring them quickly back to that stage, or is it that they have to go through the same process of, the normal process that anybody else might have to? Are they, because they were preachers, they're given some special?
Well, whatever amount of bhakti has developed, or whatever attraction they've developed for the Supreme Lord, generally it remains, but it may be covered by various circumstances, etc. It may decrease if they do aparadhas. Of course, it could also be destroyed if they do extreme aparadhas. But nevertheless, in most cases, as I say, the bhakti should remain there because they're very sincere devotees or whatever. And even if they don't take to bhakti in this lifetime, next lifetime, whatever amount of bhakti was there in the Atma, that continues. And at a certain point, it will manifest again in their lives. Maybe not at birth, but as they go on in life, suddenly in later part of life, they may manifest suddenly or whatever like that. Or even as childhood, they may be born in a devotee family or not. But the amount of bhakti is there. And it doesn't decrease in the next lifetime simply by living in the next lifetime or whatever, as punyas are decreased as we experience them in life and they dissipate and then we're left with no punyas. So not so with bhakti. It doesn't start decreasing automatically as we go throughout our life. It continues in the next lifetime as long as we don't commit aparadha. And then we can continue the process. So they get more than faith, actually. And so they can begin with the process that it's more than faith the next lifetime, and then they can perform bhakti. So they don't rely on chance so much in that case.
But we also see that we can only give as much as we have. So when they bring somebody to Krishna consciousness, they should also be at a certain stage of Krishna consciousness to give Krishna consciousness to others. And we also worship them as Vatman Pradakshaka Guru. So if they are falling down, and sometimes we also see that the devotees who have taken it up, they have advanced very quickly. So how does that understanding?
Yeah. Well, yes, everyone to their capacity can raise another person up to that level. That's what we can say is a general thing. Whatever Shakti they have, they can bestow the same amount of Shakti or whatever. But once a person starts, then of course he can get association with other devotees and other devotees and other devotees. So it doesn't usually depend on one devotee, it depends on many devotees. So in this way, the progress is guaranteed by association, not with just one person, but with many persons. In general, of course, we can say that the devotees are more or less in some sort of Madhyama stage. So to get to that stage is not so difficult for most devotees to get to that stage. To get beyond that, of course, is a little rare.
It can be like depend on the person's that seriousness in devotional service.
Yeah.
Means, if
person, although he got that bhakti, so he became very serious. And from whom he got this, I mean, he's not that much serious. So because of this seriousness, he had much quickly.
Yeah. So once we get the process of bhakti and the knowledge, the particular knowledge, we can begin the process. I said generally all the devotees are more or less kind of in the same category, as somewhere in the Madhyama stage. So there's not, we can't say, we can't make so much distinction between the different types of devotees there. But the other factor is if there is no more, he gets to a certain stage and all the other devotees are not above that stage. Still, there is no problem because the Supreme Lord makes arrangements for the devotees to progress. So somehow or other, we get a chance to, by the mercy of the Lord, to meet the proper devotee who can give them the proper guidance to advance further. So there's no worry on the part of the devotee. Or if there is no devotees available, the Lord can internally also give inspiration. So there's no real problem. Krishna says, I give you intelligence by which you will come to me. So therefore, there's many, many ways in which a devotee can proceed if there is lack of proper devotional association.
Does the Lord give any special consideration to that devotee because he has made so many devotees?
Well, that is definitely there. Of course, then we can say that what is the quality of the devotee also? Like many devotees who are half devotees or something, or many devotees who are good devotees. But definitely, yes, the Lord, particularly Lord Chaitanya, is very, very eager for spreading the movement everywhere, spreading Harinam everywhere. So therefore, anyone that participates and does that gets great mercy, definitely. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, as you were saying in the explanation of the purpose, you said that a person who is in a bhakti yoga, if he develops faith and he advances, that takes time. And if the Lord, obviously, if the Lord gives a mercy to someone, Lord gives a faith, for that person it is easy to advance. So how Lord gives a faith to, what qualification is like required, to whom Lord gives a faith? What does he see?
Yeah. Well, usually it is not the Lord himself directly, it is through the devotees. Usually. When the Lord appears on earth, obviously, he can give directly. Usually, in other cases, when the Lord is not coming as avatar, then it's the devotees. Of course, we can say that maybe internally a person can have some sort of inspiration from the Lord, but because it's probably going to be a very, very rare case. Usually it depends on devotees to get Gata-sukriti, and then get to faith, and then from faith get knowledge. In most cases, devotees.
So, means devotees means, you mean to say, Maharaj, pleasing devotees, they can bestow faith to a person on whom they are pleased. If you please some devotees, you mean to say that you get a faith from devotee. Then if you please some devotees, then you get a faith from him.
No, to get faith does not depend on pleasing anybody. It's just accidental. We get exposure to bhakti. We hear the name, we take prasadam. We're not pleased or displeased. We just take it. We're hungry or something, so we eat. But it's prasadam. Or we hear the name. We're not pleased or displeased because we don't have any faith. So it's just neutral. We just get exposed to bhakti somehow or other through the devotees. So that's how faith develops. Once we get faith, then we get conscious endeavor to seek out bhakti, Supreme Lord, devotees, knowledge, etc.
But Maharaj, how much amount of faith is required? If somebody hears, he may get little faith, but that faith is not sufficient for him to advance so quickly or throughout his life.
So the faith, of course, develops also with the process of bhakti itself. So we have the Kanishta faith, which is Komalam. If we get more knowledge, then it becomes more advanced, Madhyama, and if we get great knowledge, then it becomes Uttama. So depending on the knowledge that we get, then we can develop a stronger faith.
Maharaj, we are saying that devotee is serious. So whether they would have performed bhakti in the previous birth so that they are getting serious in this birth? The devotees in present birth, they are very serious in their bhakti. Whether they would have performed the earlier that that bhakti is carrying over to this birth?
They could be, or it could be first time, we don't know. Could be previous birth, or it could be they're just developing the first time doing bhakti in this lifetime. Maybe it could be either way.
Then Maharaj, if they have the current birth, if they are performing some sadhana bhakti, not so serious, but they are doing bhakti, is there possibility that they get advanced in the next births?
Yeah, whatever bhakti they've done in this lifetime contributes to what they can do in next lifetime. So even if they don't fully succeed in this lifetime, they can continue next lifetime.